Well, welcome to the Cigar Professor. It is week 10 of pack number 9. And you know what? Every week in, week out, with very rare exceptions, it's my job to open the show. And it's my job to just put on a brave face and be like smiling and funny. And, I can't do it anymore. I can't. This week broke me. It broke me. I'm not a spill the beans kind of guy. Like, I keep secrets. But there's something that happened in the private chat between the Cigar Professors this week that I think you need to know about, because I need you to understand what I'm dealing with, the trauma that I am faced with week in, week out. And look, there's no point in me trying to describe it to you. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you. This, without any warning, shows up in the Cigar Professor chat thread. And I go, oh, ding, oh, there's a message from Omar, there's a message from Damo. I'll go and see what it is. And I open it up. On the left is Professor Damo, you know that. On the right is one of our subscribers, Daniel. And on Daniel's legs are thigh-high socks, pulled up like he's dancing at the Moulin Rouge. Not to mention that shirt. What a terrible fashion choice that is. But seriously? And just when I thought it could not get any worse, just when I thought, you know what, I cannot take anymore. You know what happens? I made the mistake, I'll admit, rookie mistake. I swiped right. Okay. And that's what I saw. Now, nothing can prepare you for being face to face yet again, when it's not even an episode of the Cigar Professor. Like I psyched myself up for the Cigar Professor that I'm going to have to look at Omar's face. And I get myself into a psychological place where I can deal with that. And I have my counselor on speed dial. I call him straight after the show is finished. But then bang, there's a photograph in my inbox. Omar's face. Out of focus, albeit, which I appreciate because it does soften the blow a little bit. Pardon the pun. But seriously, this is what I have to deal with. Week in, week out. And so, you know what? I think it's time to speak up. It's time to stop suffering in silence. And I'm just going to confront the main perpetrator, the man who sent me these photographs, the one responsible for the trauma that I am, quite frankly, failing to deal with because it's just too much. Damo, what do you have to say for yourself?
Hey, you didn't show up.
Well, yeah, it's in Sydney.
Well,
in Sydney.
Daniel came up. He drove like 6 hours to be there.
Well, listen, he's desperate for friends, for obvious reasons. Like, I don't need to spell them out. You know what they are. He knows what they are, let's be honest. But I just, look, what happens in Sydney stays in Sydney. This is like one of the most fundamental rules. You can just keep it in Sydney. You don't have to shove it in my face.
Fair enough.
Like, honestly, do you really think that is not an acceptable picture to be sending somebody without any warning? You gave me nothing. And there's Omar's face.
Well,
I wasn't ready to have to deal with his face again.
You want to know what we're smoking?
No. I need to deal with
I think our viewers might.
No, and the man responsible for that face has joined us. Omar,
hey, boys.
What do you have to say for yourself? And that photo, that unsolicited dick pic, you can figure out who the dick is, was sent to me during the week. What do you have to say for yourself?
Only the good things, brother. Only the good things.
All right.
Only the good things.
No, you've driven me back to drink.
How good was those sticks, though?
Oh, phenomenal. They were phenomenal, mate. Absolutely phenomenal.
Damo, seeing as you are determined to just ignore me and my trauma and the need for me to decompress and deal with this, why don't you tell us about this week's stick?
This week's stick, it is from Southern Draw, which we've had in the past. The mind blank, the one with the pink Rose of Sharon that we've had in the past. That's a Southern Draw cigar.
Rose of Sharon, yes.
And also in the last pack, the Ignite, the really massive stick.
Massive one.
We've had some really good experience with Southern Draw cigars. And to be honest, I don't really have any problems with any Southern Draw cigars I've had. So I thought, here's a limited run. You know, I got fetishes for limited runs. And I like unusual sticks as well. And hey, we had a barberpole, and this is another barberpole. And I was like, well, let's see what a Southern Draw barberpole is like. And it's in a Lancero format. So for me, it ticked the boxes of being limited and of a good brand. It ticked the boxes knowing you, Topher, that you love Lanceros. And
I do.
It ticked the boxes for Omar that it's a cigar. So
he's a picky man.
It was a win-win-win situation. So
look, I'm going to say this. I don't always, because sometimes I prefer to go into a cigar a little bit blind, but I read the reviews on this one before we tested it. And I tell you what, there are some glowing reviews out there for this cigar. Like, it's almost dangerous. It's almost like if you read the reviews and you believe the reviews, you're going to come in with expectations that are just too high. But as Stuart Hollingsworth correctly points out here, the aroma on this thing,
it's sort
sweet,
of
but it's
barnyard manure on the foot.
Yeah, but there's a sweetness there, and there's a complexity there.
Absolutely.
I haven't smelled anything like it.
And the smell changes. If you stick your nose on the Connecticut wrapper and have a sniff and then stick it on the Maduro, you get slightly different fragrances coming off.
So as far as the external look of this cigar is concerned, my Maduro greatly outweighs my Connecticut. Now, that's probably not actually true because the Connecticut runs underneath. But I noticed that yours is a little bit more balanced there, Damo. Mine's really unbalanced. Yeah, and Omar's is more balanced. Yeah, Omar's is how a barberpole should look. That's what it's supposed to look like. This thing here, this is a Maduro where they just kind of missed a spot with the wrapper.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Damo would send that one to me, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. Nice draw. Not too much resistance for such a long. Oh, yeah. Now,
I've got a bit of
you have been criticizing me in recent weeks of not diversifying my lighting techniques. So
yes,
tonight, I thought I would introduce once again the art of lighting with a match.
Oh, wow. Why not? Why not? I love that. Boys,
I've got a couple of matches here, and they're big, long ones. Hopefully, I don't need more than two, but I got the whole box.
I'm just going to look up the word "cop out" in the encyclopedia. Oh, there's a picture of you. How surprising! Really, matches?
And the picture's me like this.
I have a bit of a challenge, boys, on hand. Because I just rushed, I need to grab my accessories. They're in the vehicle, so give me a few seconds and I'll be right back.
I see. Typical Mac user needs to plug in all of the bits and pieces, always scrambling for all the extra bits that didn't come with his computer.
Yeah. Cigar accessory.
No, just you know what? Just fuck off. Bye. Okay, we'll get some peace and quiet for a few minutes.
So, first trick of lighting with a match. Light the match, but don't put it near the cigar straight away. What you want to do is light it and let all of that pyrotechnic composition burn off so that it doesn't impart any of that sulfurous smell into your cigar. So once it's been lit for a few seconds like that, you basically just start toasting the cigar nice and gently. And you really don't want to light up off the first match. You actually want to take your time. Gently warming it. You can do the same thing with cedar quills as well. So you just light up a cedar quill off a match or off a lighter and use the cedar quill in the same way.
Can I just make the point that I'm already smoking and enjoying my cigar?
Yeah, but this is a technique. You know, you might one day find yourself caught with your lighter out of gas or not working, and you want to light your cigar and wow, ring right off the cuff straight.
Oh, you missed it. I blew a better ring the breath before, but you were too busy with your jolly match. You missed it. You have to go back and watch the replay.
I will.
Yeah, Daniel saw it. Thanks, Daniel. Despite all the mean things I just said about your face, you've still got my back. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to light up the next match. put this one down. Once again, let this burn a little bit just to get rid of the pyrotechnic taste. And then I'm going to start inhaling through the cigar and sucking the flame in.
Now, key with a Lancero is burn control, breath control. It's so easy to draw air through these too fast. Remember, the gauge is narrow. And so therefore, if you draw on it the way you draw on a Robusto, then the actual amount of air having to squeeze its way through that narrow gauge is way higher than what it is with the Robusto, which means your flame, your cherry temperature gets way higher and you ruin your flavors. This is about breath control. This is about patience. Smoking the Lancero is a more technically challenging way of smoking, I would say. I would also say that with the exception of the Romeo and Juliet White Churchill, Lanceros are the most satisfying cigars you will ever have.
Wow.
Yes.
Toasty, coffee, dark chocolate, and some pepper.
There is so much good in this cigar. I'm going to add to that. I don't disagree with it, but I'm going to add to it. There is a mixed spice. This is not a bakery spice. We talk a lot about those light spices and bakery spices and nutmeg. No, this is not that. This is the spice that you would put into a bolognese if it didn't quite have the punch you were looking for, right? There's just this light sprinkling of just something stronger there that just adds a little bit more complexity. Like there's almost like a smoked paprika or something like that in this cigar.
Oregano.
Okay.
It's definitely got that vegetative, deep, fresh vegetative note of oregano there in that spice mix. And so also, when you have fresh oregano, it's got a little bit of a peppery bite to it, which is,
okay.
Given that.
So Simon's asking, what's a 40 gauge? Is it a Lancero or a Lonsdale? That's actually a really good question, because if you ask me what's a 38, I'd say it's a Lancero for sure. If you ask me a 42, I'd say it's a Lonsdale for sure. But a 40, I'm like, actually, I don't know. What would that be?
Is it a Lancero or
hello. We're inventing our own words now here at the Cigar Professor.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Add that in the bingo list.
Daniel's on the same page as you with the oregano. Oregano is distinctly American, by the way.
It's all right. I'm bilingual.
It's not all right. I refuse to work with Americans.
Look, I'm fluent in metric and inches.
Mm-hmm. And only in small numbers of each.
Speaking of measurements, does Uncle Perdomo ever ask you to measure anything on him in Matrix or any other system?
No.
Not that you remember? All I'm going to say is that immediately before the show, before you showed up, because, not trying to start anything, Omar, but you were late as usual, Nick was saying that he needed to go and visit. Oh, sorry, not Nick. Damo was saying that he needed to go and visit Uncle Nick again. And beg him for a
calibration.
Beg him for a restock of Perdomos. So I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever seen the remix of that Darth Vader scene where Darth Vader is coming off the spacecraft having landed on the Death Star, and there's the dude who's in charge of the Death Star, and they're like behind schedule and it's not working right, and and he knows he's in serious trouble. And in the movie, of course, there's the dun 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 dun, like all the scary sort of music. And in this remix, they put it to like this really sort of love songs and dedications kind of tune. And so now all of a sudden, when the guy's like pulling on his collar and sweating, it just takes on a whole different meaning, that scene came to my mind as I was watching Damo talk about the need for him to go and get a restock from Nick Perdomo. I'm just saying.
I prefer the scene in Spaceballs, when he realizes he's surrounded by assholes.
Oh, right. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but yes, I do somewhat remember.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the word need. It was the need for Damo. It sounds like a need, not a want. It's a need.
Oh no, this was deeply psychologically connected to his very sense of being, belonging, and health,
And the ring hole.
and the ring. Now, as Cigar Man Sam is quite right, there are usually a lot of rings in Lanceros, and I'm developing a theory that someone like myself, who is capable of blowing rings but terrible at it in the sense of like inconsistent, and I have no idea what I did to make it work one time versus not work another, that something about the narrower ring gauge helps. But that's literally as far as my theory goes, because I genuinely have no idea what I do differently.
This has just suddenly got quite sweet on me too.
Oh, that's interesting. So we were talking about rings. Check this one out. One of the layers of the cap literally just popped off on me. I didn't cut off too much. I cut off the right amount. And that literally just dropped off as though it was not very well stuck on. I have no cap. There is literally no cap left protecting me from unraveling. Having said that, there is no sign of unraveling, so I will keep you posted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is so sweet at the moment for me. It really likes to slow smoke, this one.
Another great ring. Wow, still going.
I like Stuart's comment.
Stuart's comment? I don't know what that means.
Look, I have always wondered whether the rabbis use guillotine cutters for their convenience.
Oh, that's what you mean. Right, yes. I want to come back to Simon's comment because at least his was slightly more serious. I'm quite convinced, because of the narrowness of the Connecticut on mine, that in fact the two are inlaid with each other, and that the roller of my specific cigar just didn't quite get them aligned correctly, and ended up with this result as opposed to Damo and Omar are showing.
Well, I've got two veins that are in the Connecticut wrapper, and I see where they're running, and I can see them underneath the Maduro. So on mine,
yeah.
Let me see if I can get close to the camera and show you this. Will it focus? That's the question. There we go.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, I reckon they've literally laid
from Connecticut under the Maduro there.
Yeah.
This one
Interesting.
is
I reckon
perfectly
No, because counterpoint up here, you can very clearly see that wrinkle in my Connecticut just above the tip of my finger there.
Yep.
It sits proud, and the Maduro does not go over the top of it. So what I think has happened is they've put down a Maduro and they've put down a Connecticut, and then they've just simply rolled them around and around together. So basically anything that's lower is on top of anything that's higher. Mm-hmm. That's basically how I think it really actually works. And in my case, the roller just didn't quite align them correctly, and therefore the Connecticut is quite hidden. Now, if that's the case, then it probably doesn't affect the flavor. Think about it. Whether it's hidden or not doesn't change whether it's burning and what it's doing to the flavor. So I reckon it's I reckon it's probably not changing the flavor at all. It's just a case of alignment as they put those two leaves over each other. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Tasting darn good, whatever it is.
Yeah, very good. I can see, like, some of the reviewers got really excited about this cigar, and you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to be kind of like, really? But man, some of them got super excited, and honestly, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it even at this early stage.
Well, the people behind Southern Draw Cigars, the Holtz, Robert and Sharon, because the Rosa Sharon's named after her.
Didn't know that.
They are very passionate about patriotism, hence the one they do every year, which raises money for the different war vets.
Yeah. Well, they are both combat veterans themselves.
That is correct, yes. And so apparently the symbolic meaning on this cigar is the true meaning of the brotherhood in the service.
Yeah.
And the importance of working together, and it's sort of a tribute to the men and women of the different forces working together to give us freedom and protect the free world. So
that's what a fraternal order is. It's a brotherhood order. Instead of maternal or patriarchal, a fraternal order is a brotherly order, and that's literally what this is named after. Now, just an update. So I lost the cap, as you saw earlier. I've just had to do some cigar gluing because it did begin to unravel on me. That layer of Maduro there that you can just see starting up there, that began to come away. So I've just used the cigar glue, which our subscribers will have because you got it in a previous pack, and I ran it underneath that. I've just smoothed it down. I'm going to give it a minute or two. It may well go out on me, but I don't care. I'd rather get this right. And yeah, make it work properly. Simon's had a similar issue by the sounds of it. Just keeping this thing nicely buttoned down. It is a Lancero. You don't want to have it unraveling on you. You want to keep it all nicely wrapped. I did also lose my ash in that process.
Yeah, excuses.
Well, sadly, I must be honest and say that this week I do not have a nice ash.
This is enjoying burning very slow, and it really rewards a very slow, steady inhale off that.
Yeah,
you're going real slow because I lit up after you guys. Names.
I hope you've got a cigar rest handy because this is going to spend a lot of time in the cigar rest. It loves it. Loves it. Now, Stuart, just be aware, the narrower the gauge of the cigar, the more likely it is to drop its ash. You're not going to get an entire Lancero's worth of ash. It just isn't going to happen the way that it can.
And if you do, take a photo and you're definitely the ash king.
Yes. Well, look, Stuart, you've got a point. We clearly don't know anything, and we bow to your superior wisdom. You are a freak, let's be honest. And
look, we know that Stuart will still be going on this by lunchtime tomorrow anyway. So
look, I'm moving house on the 10th of March. I expect that when Stuart comes to help me move house, that he'll still be working his way through the very last few parts of the cigar.
Imagine giving Stuart the Woody.
So you do mean the cigar?
For someone like Omar, that's like about an 8-hour smoke. Stuart would probably take at least a week.
Omar, there is a biological inability for him to spend more than 4 hours on one cigar. It's not possible. And if he lights up a cigar that should take longer, the laws of physics will bend themselves for it to burn faster and be done in 4 hours. It's just part of his aura.
I believe you.
Oh, there's some nice dried fruit notes in that. That sweetness has sort of deepened for me. It was a light, almost lolly-like sweetness, but it's starting to really deepen and give me the dark fruit. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
You're going real slow, Dames.
I am. It's really appreciating the slow.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So I can't help but there we go. Hang on, that one. I can't help but ask you, Omar, are you feeling okay? You apparently smoked a cigar slowly yesterday. I'm just
Yeah, we had a few
I'm
things
just worried.
going on. I was like interrupted in and out. The congregation kind of went a little bit slower than usual.
Well, you were out the front of your shop, weren't you? So you
Yeah.
might have had to have gone in and like restock shelves like a 15-year-old on his first job,
That's
that
it.
sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Drinking a 12-year-old shivers. There are so many inappropriate jokes available here, but I'm going to stay away from all of them. It's like the question, why didn't Michael Jackson like 39-year-olds? Because he couldn't fit them all in his bed. I'm just saying, you're drinking a 12-year-old shivers. Poor kid, right? And just... Simon's got the Caribbean Cask Balvenie. A good drop. I wrestle with this one because I personally don't actually like it. It's the Caribbean Cask. It's a rum cask matured whiskey. I just don't like what the rum cask does to it. I'm a big fan of the double woods, the 12 and the 17. Big fan of those. I just can't get behind the Caribbean Cask. I don't know why, but it rates really well. People that know what they're talking about reckon it's a fantastic drop, but it's just not for me. I just can't quite get there. Almost a hint of clove underlying that fruity note. Interesting thoughts, fellas?
I haven't got to that. I obviously don't think it is, but all cigars are rolled slightly differently.
They're all different. Yeah, absolutely. A hint of clove.
Definitely baked spice. Cinnamon.
Yeah. You reckon the cinnamon? Okay.
I'm getting cinnamon.
I'm still a bit heavier than that.
Maybe even vanilla.
Oh, wow. Okay. Whatever you're getting is definitely lighter than me. I'm on the cusp of a clove. I'm sitting there kind of more with Daniel. I'm like, it's not distinct. There's nothing clear. I wouldn't have thought of it if he hadn't said it. But you know what? I'm on the cusp of what could be a clove, could be an aniseed, could be a number of different things, but it's not clear.
It's more of a warm mixed spice, a very warm.
I think so. Yeah. That's where it goes for me.
A warm mixed spice.
You know what? It's also giving me an aftertaste of. It's almost like a either a vanilla latte or a hazelnut latte sort of finish.
I'm very
that
pleased.
Sweet flavored coffee note.
I'm very pleased to say that I have never had a coffee with any of those syrups in them ever. So I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about. Thank you very much.
It's more of a try.
It's not something I drink, but as a barista, I am of the opinion that you can't manufacture drinks that you don't taste and check yourself.
You have
even
to
if
check
you don't
all
drink it, you sort of, you make your drinks and you sip them and to make sure that you're putting the right amount of everything together. And as part of that learning process, I've definitely had them. I don't like them just because they're too sickly sweet for me. So,
well, this is the third person saying that they're having some unraveling issues. Myself and I think it was Cigar Man Sam both had our glue handy. No, Simon. Sorry, it was Simon Henry had our glue handy. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Tim, who hasn't subscribed to the full pack where he would have got this, unfortunately. So, mate, it's all about how you hold your fingers and putting your fingers in the right spot and then just not putting it down. Keep your fingers in exactly the right spot so it cannot unravel any further past that point.
Mine's burning a bit too quicker than you guys.
Okay.
The other thing you can also try is a little bit of spit on your finger and just try and wet the tobacco and just sort of stick it down a little bit that way.
Did you learn that from Uncle Nick, one of his tricks?
Actually, I learned that from Whiskey Pete. It's one of his tricks.
You've been around, eh?
Oh, I've been around.
You've been around.
I hang around with you, so you should know.
Simon's got the full picture here.
Simon, that was gold, man. That was good.
So Tim does. I'd forgotten, but Tim does have a different southern draw to what we do. But if you can lift up the flap that's coming undone without making it even worse and get some saliva on the inside of that, it's a better thing than just laying saliva over the top. It'll hold better. But obviously Tim's hanging out with Nick Perdomo. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got some competition, Damo. Simon, do not apologize. That is what this show is all about.
Mhm.
Dessert glue will work. Is that like a what is it?
Wood grade glue that they use for pastries and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like a gelatin base. It's like a food base.
Yeah, it's a food grade.
For a glue. Definitely, Stuart. Every chance we get.
Ash's gone really wonky on this.
Leaning a bit to the left, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Damo, you've dropped your ash.
Oh, just dropped.
Yeah, Omar too. Yeah, like I said. Stuart is an absolute weapon on the cakes, and he's got cake glue. Tim, that'll teach you to learn how to do some baking. Then you'll have the glue that you need for the cigar. Now, Omar, I can't help but notice that the AI has absolutely nothing to say about you.
Yeah,
which I
good.
think is very intelligent. It's kind of like the rest of us.
If the AI is as intelligent as you are, there won't be any fucking AI soon.
Hey,
Well,
you take the band off and have a look on the inside. There's a little smiley face. At least there is on mine.
really?
Yeah,
No.
I got a smiley face with a cigar sticking out the corner of its mouth.
No.
Yep, it is.
All right, I've got to be careful here. I've got a couple of landmines that could snag on the. Oh, there we go. It is 2. And he's got like 5 o'clock shadow. The dude needs to learn how to shave like the two of you. That's funny. What a nice piece of whimsy.
I must admit, this brand has grown on me a little bit after the last cigar and this cigar. I was never the thing. I was like, yeah, whatever. It never like did anything for me. But the last cigar, you got to go with an open mind. It was a good cigar, and this also is a good cigar.
I'm going to level and say same. This is yet another brand that I would personally have overlooked. If it was sitting on the shelf of the local walk-in humidor place, not that we have many of them left in Australia, I would have absolutely just gone straight past it onto something else, the whole brand. But you know what? The Rose of Sharon, the Ignite, and now this barberpole, these are good sticks.
They're not cheap either. On the American scale of pricing, this is at the upper end of the cost of sticks. They're not stocked in a lot of shops because a lot of guys don't want to spend the money on these sticks.
About $8 each for a pack of 10 for these that we're holding here, which sounds insanely cheap to us because it doesn't have the extortionate taxes and the cost of shipping added to it. But in the US market, that's an upper middle price range.
Yeah. A lot of guys in America just like smoking their $2, $3, $4 sticks.
Correct. And if you want a daily over there, you can get an acceptable daily for that sort of money, but you just can't over here. There's no point smoking cheap sticks over here because the tobacco tax is the same, whether it's a cheap and nasty stick or whether it's a premium stick, you're paying the same tax per weight. And that's actually the biggest part of the cost.
Yeah, it's about 70% the cost of the stick. So if you're going to pay that amount of tax, you might as well pay those few extra dollars and get something that's far better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuart,
actually, that's, you know what, Omar, the reason those ESVs that we had with Daniel tasted better too was that was back when the tax was under $1,000 a kilo on those ones.
Yeah. Stuart, I've had people say that to me before. They're all liars. Moving on. Factory smokes, man. Yeah, yes, but in Australia, does it make sense? In Australia, I think you just go for the premium stuff. because we're paying a premium price no matter what. In America, sure. Tim, then it's true. America truly is the greatest country in the world. Well, you can wake up and have a breakfast of bacon and eggs and shotguns and just like shoot some random things. And all your neighbors are just like, oh yeah, it is 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, fair enough. He's just shooting sticks in his backyard. It's just, yeah, it's a different vibe over there.
Oh, there's a great meme I saw the other day. Guy, and it basically having breakfast. How the rest of the world think us Americans eat breakfast, and there's like bacon, eggs on a plate and a hang under the side. And then the next picture's how us Americans really eat breakfast, and it's the same plate, the same handgun, and another handgun on the other side, and the AR-15 across the top.
Like, without any exaggeration. So I visited my brother in Tennessee. He lived in rural Tennessee, backwoods Tennessee. Yes, it is exactly what you think, right? That's where he lived for a number of years, and I visited him while he was there. And, you had to drive down a dirt road past a couple of other people's driveways to get to his driveway, and then drive up his dirt driveway into his dirt little car park for his little, slanted roof, flat roof, tin roofed little hut thing that he lived in with his family. And it was amazing because I went out for a walk at dusk and all the fireflies were coming out. And I haven't seen fireflies like that before. Never in my life have I seen fireflies that size or that many. And it's all pine forest. And they don't have eucalyptus trees, obviously.
Yeah.
They have pine forests. And these things are tall and they are straight. And it's just a different vibe. And the color, the shade of green on their leaves is different even to pine trees in Australia. I've never seen such a verdant, vibrant green in my life. So you got the setting golden sun coming down, this vibrant green lighting up with the golden light on it, the fireflies beginning to come out and fly around, and off in the distance, the sound of people shooting. And for me, I was like, oh, yes, this is it. And just, and it was just people shooting at, plinking, shooting cans, whatever it was, right? But someone somewhere in the valley was doing some shooting, and that just made it all complete.
Well, one of the trips, about 3 or 4 trips ago, when I went to America, the guy that was hosting me, one of my wife's company suppliers, took me to visit some other friend of his who I'm not sure what he did for business, some sort of civil works company or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, so you're from Australia?" He says, "You don't get much guns over there, do you?" And I'm like, "I've got guns, but nothing like what you've got." And he's like, "You like guns?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "Wait here." And he comes out with his AR-15.
Yeah.
And he just like multiple mags, like 40 round mags, 50 round mags. And he says, "Here you go for it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What am I going to shoot at?" He says, the big pile of gravel over there. He said, "Just let her rip." And I'm there, loaded. Drop the mag, next one in. Drop the mag, next one in.
Worth of ammo later.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. Ammo is not cheap, even over there. Ammo is not cheap anymore. Look, I went there many years ago. I was working on a film or a TV pilot. I got to play the bad guy. They picked an Australian as the bad guy because he was exotic and had the exotic accent. It was great. It was one of the most fun projects I've ever worked on, filming in San Antonio, Texas for 2 weeks. And I got to play around with an AR-10, which is the 7.62 millimeter version or the 308 version of an AR-15. So shooting a heavier round. The guy that owned the weapon, because let's not forget, this wasn't supplied by an armorer that was made safe for film work. No. They needed guns for their TV pilot. So they just rang around their mates and said, "What have you got? What's the coolest gun we can get our hands on?" This guy was an ex-cop. He had the AR-10 and he had the license for the suppressor. And so I got to play with this thing. And I fell in love with suppressors because you could shoot it without hearing protection on. You could just be talking to your mates and you could let off a few rounds and it was under the threshold where it was going to do you any damage at all. It's still loud, right? It's this movie idea that you put a suppressor on and no one can hear it. That's nonsense. Still loud, but under the threshold where it was doing me damage. But anyway, one day I had no filming scheduled on one particular day. And I went for a wander and I came across one of San Antonio's gun stores, which I found out later was one of their biggest. And I walk in and I'm looking around and there's all this cool stuff on the walls. Someone comes over, oh yeah, can I help you? I said, no, mate, look, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm from Australia and I like guns. I was in the army and I'm just having a look. And he's like, you're from Australia? And I got the VIP tour. It was amazing. So they had the area out the front where everyone could see what was on the walls. Then they had a second room that was where the real expensive stuff was. And they didn't care how valuable or how precious it was. They knew I wasn't buying anything. They were pulling everything off the wall for me to handle and hold. I held a rifle, a muzzle loading rifle that they claim, I can't prove it right or wrong, they claim was actively used in combat during the American War of Independence against the British. They claim that they can trace the lineage of this rifle. It was like a $70,000 US like history piece. Still functioning, they reckon, but they're like, yeah, we wouldn't shoot it. But, you know, the person who buys it might. It's still functioning. And they're just pulling all this stuff off the walls. And then they had more out the back that they had to bring out to you in that other room. And they just went through everything. They're just grabbing everything. Like, an Aussie? We can share our guns to an Aussie? It was the most amazing VIP experience. And I still had to walk out of there empty-handed. And I still don't own a gun here in Australia, which is a terrible shame.
I am just blown away by how sweet this cigar is. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I got a hint of apple.
I'm getting something fruity out of it, that's for sure. Sweet.
Almost like a green apple, a sense of tartness in that puff. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah, there's a tartness. Just, I don't know if this will be fleeting or not, but I'm still on that puff. There's a tartness that's lingering with the aftertaste now. It's really refreshing. It's like a palate cleanser that you would have between different types of wine or something. What are you drinking, Omar? What girly drink is that?
Sparkling coconut water.
With light cheese. Because if you're going to be a girly man, why not go all the way?
Yeah.
Coconut White Claw. Yes and yes. Stuart and Tim, you've just regained permission to call yourself my friends. Mine's trying to go out. I did this last puff as well. It's trying to go out on me.
Still plenty of rings in there.
Yeah. Yeah, can't argue with that. And with the glue having been applied, holding together perfectly. No issues. None at all. Yeah. Stuart, you're not wrong. It might call for a purge. I'm just going to persevere for a little bit longer and just pay attention. I've just got the cherry has just reached the wrapper again. You can see the red glow there. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this going. I think I'll be right. It does force me to smoke a little bit faster for a few minutes, which is a shame. The slower, the better with this. But yeah, no, we're good now. We're good.
A little bit of soft leather on that finish as well now. Not much, just a very soft, faint hint of it. Just playing off the back of the fruitiness.
Ah, there it is. That's the full flavor again. Yep, it's properly lit now. Now, I noticed, boys, you've been dropping your ash regularly, as have I. Stuart's reporting coming up to an inch of ash, but still, that's not a lot by our standards.
Yeah.
I didn't actually read one way or the other if this is a long fill or a short fill. I assume it's a long fill because it's a genuine premium cigar, but it drops its ash like it's a short, or the blend just doesn't have a lot of body to it.
It's probably
Not a lot of
more of
blend.
the outer leaf rather than the inner leaf where the stem is.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel,
Which would make sense in a long, narrow stick like this. You really don't want to be putting things in a long, narrow stick that are likely to cause blockages in the...
That's absolutely true. But then the side effect is you're losing your ash every 2 centimeters.
Who cares for this flavor profile?
Well, for this flavor, no, you're not wrong.
I've only dropped my ash once, so I dare say it will probably drop again soon.
Yeah.
Based on that size.
I've got 2 beads of ash sitting on the table here. I'd say each one is almost exactly 2 centimeters. Like they almost look identical to each other. Yeah, the Daniel pairing well with a brew, I can only imagine. I have a brew nearly every day, and I know it well. And that flavor profile with this, yeah, you're absolutely right. It would want to be a long filler for that at price in America. And the same issue with the Macanudo 1997. Question whether it was short filler, but clearly it's not. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I assume this is long filler. I just didn't read anything that said one way or the other. Each bead of ash is worth $8. In Australia, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Still getting a lovely coffee flavor in there as well. It's coming and going. Actually, speaking of coffee, I gave Daniel a try of the decaf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You almost turned me into a girl with that. Like, only girls drink decaf.
What do you
Boy,
mean,
that's good. That is a great coffee. It really is. And look, I'm not going to say this publicly. If anyone asks me, I never said this. I would actually hazard the opinion that just as a pure coffee flavor, that decaf is better than brew, which is my coffee company, which is one of the best coffees that I've ever tasted. And I take all of the credit for it, despite the fact that Damo is the one who blends it, roasts it, grinds it, and packages it. And I literally have absolutely nothing to do with the coffee beans. Even so, it's clearly to my credit that it tastes as good as it does. But that decaf is amazing.
Now, I've been buying quite a few different decafs from high-end roasters over the last couple of months, and just to, see what's out there and how they all stack up, and nothing comes close to that one.
That's it. I was astonished. I drank it because you sent it to me and you said this is worth trying and you should think about expanding brew into decaf, which we do plan to do once our numbers bump up a little bit beyond where they are now. But I drank it kind of like, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is properly amazing coffee. Like, forget decaf or not decaf. It's just amazing coffee.
And what's even more amazing, it's not only just decaf, it's specialty grade decaf, and it's also organically certified.
Yeah, which how often do you get that? How often?
No. Normally with organic certified coffee, you're compromising quality taste of coffee just to have the organic certification.
Yeah.
But
not in this case. Not in that case at all. Hey, Stuart finally lost his ash. Was it all of it, Stuart, or are you half-ashed? Really? Nothing? Wow. Tough crowd. I'm with you on that, Daniel. It does taste amazing. The thing is, because I am a bit sensitive to caffeine, it would allow me to have a coffee right now with this cigar, which I can't do. I've got brew here. I drink one almost every day. I can't pull one out right now because I just won't sleep if I do. So that's where decaf comes into its own.
Grow the fuck up.
No one asked you. Go back to sleep.
Can't have coffee whining, complaining, whinging. Grow the fuck up, dude. Have a coffee.
I have to make up for the fact that you've never got anything to say. You're on this show, but you might as well just be like a mannequin. We might as well just sort of pull the mannequin out of a shop front and just sit it in the chair, stick a beard on it, and paint its face. You know, you never.
I'm actually wondering if this is going to be a 2-hour stick. The rate we're going through.
It took us a little while to light up, but we're at 50 minutes. I'd say 40 plus. Wouldn't quite be 45 yet, but it'd be 40 plus minutes of burn time.
And I'm only a third of the way through, I'd say.
Yeah, I reckon.
Wow.
Yeah.
It might be a bit on the more expensive side, but if this is the burn rate you get out of it, you're getting value for time.
You're getting your value for sure. Tim, you better ask my 3 kids about that. Ask my 3 kids whether I'm underage. See what they say.
You don't know if you're kids.
Mind you, my dog is 6 months old and already ready to procreate. So I guess that's not really proof of anything.
No.
Well, Daniel and I were very charitable when we were with Omar. We made sure we left quite a bit of nub behind for him to
and donated it to him.
We left. We quietly put it down, didn't say boo, and we left. We knew that we'd leave him there and he'd finish it off for us.
That's what got him through to like afternoon tea.
That's it.
Yeah. Tell you what, I'm not minding this. This is just a Merlot, pretty much a nothing Merlot. It's matching up pretty well.
Oh, what perfect timing! I just lowered my cigar to hang over the top of my ashtray, and the ash just beautifully just decided to drop right in the center of the ashtray. And it's almost exactly the same size as the first one, maybe just a tad longer. Not by much, though.
Tim, you tell me, could someone who's underage blow as many rings as I've just blown with this cigar? I don't think so.
Kind of girls do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That sounds like you're just jealous. That's what that sounds like.
I like the girls to be jealous.
See, some of us are confident in our manhood without having to park a dead possum on the top of our head. Yeah. Right? We don't need to cover up with a hat. We don't need to hide our faces behind a beard. We're just comfortable. We just are. You know, it's not something you'd ever understand, ever in your life. But I can assure you there are some of us that are like that. Hey, Sam Smith has made a lot of money out of cross-dressing. I'm just saying, okay? Just saying, it can be a very, very profitable enterprise.
The only problem is not all cross-dressers make money. So
look, back when I was a salsa dancing instructor on Smith Street in Brunswick, I gave it a go in my wild days. I'll be honest, I didn't make as much money as I was hoping for. But you know what? If I tried it again now, there's a market for teddy bears in that world. You know, I could just go the teddy bear route, or the teddy bear route, depending on which way you want to express it.
Maybe get some pointers from Damo. Uncle's interaction, Uncle Nick.
I think Tim should be my manager. Actually, sounds like he's really been researching. Looking into it. How many times have you seen that photo, Tim? How many times have you Googled it?
It's moving up the Google rankings, that's all I'll say.
Especially in Tim's part of Victoria.
What a gorgeous stick.
Isn't it amazing?
I can imagine the flavors in this are probably pairing pretty well with your Merlot as well.
Mm-hmm. That's why I picked it. And it's always a risk. Red wine can be a really bad idea with some cigars, particularly Connecticut's. But with this is really going well. Sure, Tim. You know the algorithm is very, very smart. It feeds you what it knows you want.
It actually listens to what you talk about.
Daniel, that's not a bad idea. I could finally solve this problem. I'll have to wait till after I've moved house. But as soon as I've moved house and I don't need him anymore, not a bad idea. I have to say, though, Daniel, seeing you in those thigh-high lederhosen that you were wearing when you were smoking with Omar and Damo the other day did make me think of that Sam Smith picture when he was at the awards ceremony. He had the black outfit on that had the massive thighs on it. It's like, just is that like the poor man's version? I'm a little worried about you, Daniel.
Well, he posed for a photo in those lederhosen with...
I'll bet he did.
Dr. Peter McCullough and also with Clive Palmer.
Well, Clive Palmer makes sense. He'd be into that sort of thing. Dr. McCullough, a bit more of a surprise, but okay. Life advice from Stuart. Take it at your own peril.
Right. I'll give it a go.
Oh, man.
Gorgeous.
Daniel, you can tell yourself whatever you need to, okay? I'm not arguing with the narrative that you give yourself, okay? That's completely fine. I'm just objectively looking at the reality.
Stick.
Was that Stuart? You be the judge. Was that a long enough?
That's it. Yeah, well, you interjected, so I had to wait for your monologue before I could say
perfect. Perfect. Now you've just got the random word stick. Make of that what you will. So, I mean, that was my takeaway as well. That was definitely my takeaway. Okay.
So are they two more words for the bingo?
Yeah, fishnet and compression or stick.
Gorgeous and stick.
Oh, gorgeous and stick. Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely stick. Stick would come up almost every single episode. Gorgeous. Yeah, if it's a good stick. Yeah.
Occasionally.
See, Daniel, the key when you go to Sydney, and I know this from experience, is to observe and not let it affect you. Clearly, it's that latter part that you're struggling with, right? You observe the madness and you don't let it affect you. All right, serious note though, let's compare this up against, so what are the other Lanceros and Lonsdales we've had? The very first one we had was the Oliva, not the V, it was just the Oliva Lancero. Oh, it was the Oliva V, wasn't it? Was the Oliva V Lancero? The very next week, we had the Room 101 Fast Lonsdale.
Yes.
We've had the full range of Leaf by Oscar.
Yes.
And are they a Lonsdale or a Lancero?
Gorgeous sticks.
They're brilliant.
I'm going to call them Lanceros just because they were a skinny, probably even a tad skinnier than this.
I feel like they were a little bit skinnier than this. I feel like they were a proper Lancero. Have we had any other Lanceros or Lonsdales besides this?
No, I think you've mentioned them all.
I feel like that was it. I think it was 4 different Leaf by Oscars, at least 3, maybe 4. Plus 4, plus the Oliva, plus the Room 101, and then this. So that makes this number 7. Just isolating it down to those cigars, where do you put this? Because they're all good. Like the Lonsdales that we've had in our packs are in the upper echelon of all the cigars we've had.
I still reckon a good aged Oliva V is possibly just in front, but I tell you what, it's a close match between that and this one for first and second. I'm really enjoying the complexity, the number of flavors, and how ridiculously sweet and how ridiculously slow this is burning.
Yeah, and it's just burning so perfectly, incredibly slow. Yes, it drops its ash regularly, but the burn is just perfect. Sorry, Omar, you were trying to say something.
Who cares? Go like this.
Yeah,
I can drop its ash twice as much if that's the results you're going to get from it.
Damo, we're trying to hear from Omar for a change. He wants to say something for the first time in like 15 episodes. Let the man speak.
Let bore the fuck out of them. Let you guys listen to shit. But what I was about to say was, you ever see how many less viewers we have now? Anyway, but so much fucking excitement between you two. But look, jokes aside, the challenge with your question, Topher, is what we are trying to compare. They all are exceptionally good sticks, right? So I don't think you compared that with Padron. I think it will be injustice. Literally, that Padron, it will be injustice to me, in my personal opinion.
Yep. So Simon pointed out. Sorry, just for context for anyone that missed it, Simon reminded us that we did have the Padron. That was a box press Lonsdale that we did leave out. So thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, and I would put all three leaves over that because they were phenomenal. We were arguing with each other. You were
four.
There were four leaves. Two of them I loved.
Maduro, Sumatra, and Corojo.
Corojo, yeah. And I was like, on the other side, I like the other two better, but I wouldn't say the Sumatra wasn't my favorite. It was amazing. And I love even Maduro. Like, I couldn't pull them apart too much, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of injustice because this is a very good stick. But I can't go past those four leaves and the Padron above that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so sorry. You would put the Oliva and the Room 101 below this.
Oliva, I'm not 100% because I had definitely above Room 101 for sure.
Yeah.
But Oliva I think it's cut above.
Yeah. Okay.
Oliva, that profile is cut above.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And that was a sweet cinnamon stick from, I remember it.
Yeah, it was very much so. Yes. And the interesting tidbit with the Oliva Lancero, that is the Vitola that I can't remember his name, but the blender, the person who actually oversees Oliva cigars, he smokes the Oliva V Lancero. That is his cigar of choice out of his entire range.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He rates it to be the best. And it's up there, dude. I can't put Oliva below that. I just can't. It's a very good cigar.
So I don't remember exactly which one was which out of the Leaf by Oscars, but there were two that blew me away and two that were, they're great cigars, but they're not on the same level as the other two. I think it was the Corojo and the Sumatra were the two that I loved.
You really like them,
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. Oliva V Lancero, number one. Those two Leafs equal second. This holds fourth behind the two equal seconds. And then the other two and the Room 101 are all just sort of coming in. Oh, see, it's funny. I don't think of it as a Lancero, but I'm probably technically it is. It's, I'm the one who's wrong. But I don't sort of.
Well, it's a Lonsdale.
It's a Lonsdale. Sorry. Yes. I just, for whatever reason in my head, I don't put it in the same category. Let me just think back to it. I love Padron cigars.
And that Lonsdale in the Padron is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal stick. Reserve a 6.
I can't put it any higher than equal to this. I can't. And I can't put it on a par with the Corojo and the Sumatra Leaf by Oscars. I think that's an equal fourth alongside this one for me.
It is very hard to judge a cigar with another if you had that like a year apart. It's unless you constantly smoke these cigars and you know the profile back to front.
Oh, it's been over 2 years. It's been over 2 years since we had that Oliva V Lancero. I mean, how do you really compare?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sumatra in the leaf by Oscar, Sumatra and Corojo. Stuart's got a good suggestion here. We should have a leaderboard like Top Gear. You know, remember they had the seriously uncool, the cool, and the like frozen or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, you know, we should have that with like sticky pictures.
Well, you're the one that's getting the studio.
Yeah.
True, and I'll be able to smoke in it.
How good is that? That's gold.
It's going to stink afterwards because it's just an enclosed box with like one little doorway, but I can smoke in it.
An air purifier would fix it immediately.
Yeah, I'll get a deionizer, an air purifier, and I'll we've got to put in a reverse cycle air conditioner anyway, just because the amount of electronics in that room is going to create so much heat. We've got to get the heat out. So if I just get one of those with the right filters and stuff on it, it'll take care of it.
I know a company that sells really good air purifiers.
Yeah. Cool.
GPA Whole Foods.
Oh yeah. I've heard the guy that runs that's a bit of a wanker, to be honest.
Yeah, I think his life got ruined after he got caught under Nick Perdomo's table doing something.
It was it's a bit of a Monica Lewinsky moment, that was. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, at least it wasn't with Gurkhas, though.
Yeah, so we're going to talk shop for a second. Stuart, I've been thinking about this for the studio, that at night I'm probably going to leave the door open and just have a pedestal fan that I'm just going to put in the doorway and just have it running on low all night just to circulate some air, because otherwise it'll just become like a carbon dioxide box.
I would be more looking to, if you could somehow put a ducted exhaust fan at one end furthest from the door to suck fresh air in through your door and blow it out. Not that you run it while you're shooting, but you can run it.
That duct is a conduit for noise, and the whole reason we're building that box is to keep out the noise.
But if the duct is long enough and takes a few bends,
you're right. They can be pretty good, but they're still going to be worse than a wall. They're still going to let more sound in than a wall. So I think it's going to be one of those things where I'm just going to go ahead and not have a duct. And if it just becomes untenable and I just need more ventilation, we can cut a hole in the wall. We'll premeditate a spot and be like, okay, that's our spot where we know we can cut through the plaster, pull out the sound insulation, cut through the plaster on the other side, and then run a duct that, looks like an Escher painting or something like that, and get that result. But I think to start with, I'm going to try and manage without it.
We're definitely at an hour now.
Oh yeah, we've passed the hour mark for sure, and I've still got. I mean, we've had cigars smaller than this. From the start, we lit them up; they were already smaller than this.
There's no doubt this is a very good cigar. It's a very good cigar.
The sweetness is persisting, which is really interesting to me. Often over the journey of a Lancero or a Lonsdale, because it's narrow and very long, you get the buildup of tar, you get the buildup of the burn byproducts in the mouth. And over time, that sweetness goes, and you can end up with quite a bitter end result by the end. At the moment, I'm still enjoying a real sweetness to this.
Yep.
Partagas gigantes. Wow. I'd have to look that up. I actually don't know what that is off the top of my head. Obviously, it's a Partagas, but... Stuart, that's exactly it. Started clogging, give it another cut. You're all good. Can I show this to people or not? I don't know. So Tim just sent me this picture. Just sent me a picture. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry in advance. If I get that close enough and it's too bright, it's got my face on Sam Smith's body in that bottom picture. There we go. There you can see it. That is some of the best Photoshop I've ever seen. That's that is so convincing. It just, you release that to the press and my reputation will be ruined. Or maybe it'll be made. I don't know. Maybe it'll help my career. Yeah, so this is an update from Simon on the Partagas Gigantes. It is a 6x60. Light wrapper, but medium to full in strength, heaps of teeth, and from his report earlier, burns faster than this little fella does. Evidently, Tim. That's what you tell your wife every night, right? I was in a rush. Do we have any more of these, Damo?
Not sure. If there is any up there, there's probably not more than 10.
I reckon they're not going to last long.
Well, it is a limited production.
Sure. But
no one's got stock of them at the moment, or none of the major suppliers have got stock at the moment. And I don't know if they're actually going to make these again, or I don't know whether it's limited as a bit of a one-off thing, or just a rarely when they've got the right tobacco, or
yeah.
It's not one of them. If you go to Southern Draw's own website, it's not one. It's listed on their website.
Yeah, right. That's usually a sign that it's not a persistent, not something they plan to do long term. It's there's quite a lot of cigars out of production though. You and I were talking before. The Perdomo ESVs are out of production. I think Oliva have restricted some of their production now as well. They're not producing the full range. There's a lot of cigar manufacturers. Demand is so high, and supply has been impacted in, depending on where they are in the world. The supply has been impacted in enough places that they're pretty much just pushing out all of the sort of the biggest sellers, and that's about it. They're not really focusing on the niche products the way they did 10 years ago.
With the exception of Steve Sarker, he still loves making all of these.
But that's all he does. Like, he doesn't have a run-of-the-mill cigar.
No, exactly.
Yeah, Simon, this is exactly what we're hearing as well. A lot are out of production now because they can't get the leaf. Or even in cases where they potentially could, they might be able to go, oh, yeah, you know what, that's good enough. They've got other stock that is just flying off the shelves, and so they're using it up in that stock. Tim, that sounds like a foundation for a really successful, thriving, long-lasting relationship. Have you ever thought about contacting Jordan Peterson? Because he's done a series on marriage recently. He could probably learn a thing or two from you. Oh, really? The Oliva Perfectos are out of production. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, that is interesting. I would have thought the Lancero would be harder to supply for just because of the size of that wrapper leaf that you need. That's perfect. Interesting. Where are you at, Omar? I feel like Damo is racing ahead. Yeah. Okay. No, you and Damo pretty similar.
Almost the same.
Yeah, pretty similar. It's just, you don't have the same amount of skill as me, obviously.
Nah, don't wanna.
I'm glad you acknowledge that fact. Stuart, what type of computer do you use? Just no reason. I'm just like, is it a Mac or is it not a Mac? I'm just curious. A phone. Yes. Thank you for completely missing the point of the question. Do you use an Apple phone or do you use a non-Apple phone like normal human beings such as me? Well, if you can't afford computers, I'm guessing you're not using an Apple phone. So, I'm going to say that Apple users are obviously unable to keep it going for as long as non-Apple users. He doesn't have an Apple, ladies and gentlemen. Stuart has a cat. And no, I don't know what that means either. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. A Caterpillar phone.
Oh, that was one of those really rugged, robust things that they made for people on mining sites, wasn't
For weirdos.
it?
Runs Android. Okay, so it's definitely not Apple. Or we can say for certain it's not Apple. Therefore, non-Apple users can make it last longer than Apple users. That makes perfect sense.
Actually, wasn't it the Caterpillar phone that had the FLIR camera in it for infrared stuff?
I don't
Could
know.
be
I'm not a
wrong.
peeping Tom, so I've never had a need for that technology.
Yep, there we go. There's the response.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, Stuart, you've just added yourself as a peeping Tom. No offense intended, but
No, he can take pictures of his cigar while he's smoking it, see where the cherry is beneath the wrapper.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got your cutter, you've got your perfect drawer, you've got your perfect glue, you've got your cigar rest, and you've got your FLIR camera. Makes perfect sense.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
it's like the
exactly right.
ultimate cigar accessory.
That's it.
Oh, the blackberries! Goodness me!
Oh my
Talk about
goodness,
back in
that's a
the
blast
day.
from the past.
I got one of those personal organizers before they were integrated into your phone, before the iPhone came out. I had my phone and I had a little personal, it had my calendar and all my contacts and all my notes and voice recordings and everything else. And my friends took to calling it my girlfriend because they were sure I spent more time with that than I did with anything else. And they had a good laugh at my expense over that one. And then the iPhone
Well, you
came
probably
out.
spent more time fingering it.
Thank you, Damo, for that deeply insightful comment. It's what we've come to expect from you. And then the iPhone came out and they were all there like, oh, oh, oh. And I got the last laugh because they were just absolutely besotted with their girlfriends. The FLIR will let you see a pig in the scrub, but not the naughty bits. Well, that's a shame. Here's my question. Can you attach it to the front of a scope and hit your target at night? That's my question.
Actually, the US military have a couple of years ago were experimenting with infrared scopes with smart technology in it. What you'd actually do is you'd actually line up on your objects that you wanted to shoot, and it would you'd somehow, I don't know how it worked exactly, but you'd somehow lock it on target, and then you'd pull the trigger, and just the little bit of movement that you made, it actually wouldn't release the firing pin until it actually calculated the right trajectory to hit smack on where you'd actually marked the target that you were shooting.
So I don't know if it's exactly the same thing, but they're rolling out that scope now across their entire infantry, Marines, etc. It's quite a phenomenal piece of technology, and it goes hand in hand with their shift from the 5.56 millimeter round up to a 6.5 millimeter round. Because what they've realized, what they've learned in Afghanistan and elsewhere, is that the Vietnam era philosophy of just the sheer number of bullets and the range of combat in Vietnam was, the average was well under 50 meters. It's terrifyingly close because they're in dense scrub and it's just a horrific place to fight a war. Whereas now they're in Afghanistan and they're trying to engage targets out to, half a kilometer or a kilometer away. And your average infantryman armed with an AR-15 or what do they call it, the military version, your M16s, etc., just can't reliably hit a target out at 800 meters, 900 meters. It's just not, the scope's not up to it. The round is barely up to it. It can if you really know what you're doing, but the scopes aren't up to it. So they're moving to a more powerful round, the 6.5 millimeter. Pardon me, they've commissioned a new rifle. I don't remember the name of it, but along with it comes a scope. The scope is incredible, and it's designed on the same philosophy as all the new 5th generation fighter planes and all that sort of stuff, where it's all about communication across all of the assets. And so they can send out a drone or various other information gathering items out into no man's land to pick up atmospheric information, wind speed, humidity, temperature, all that sort of stuff. And that gets fed back to the scope. And so they can literally, like, the reticle will move depending on what the conditions are like and how far away the target that they're looking at is. And they go, right, I want to hit that target. It's 900 meters away. And the reticle will move itself so that they aim in the correct place. And if the reticle is on the target, the bullet will land with all the atmospherics accounted for. The bullet will land on or extremely close to the target that they were shooting at. And they reckon they're going to get, so when I was in the infantry in Australia, officially at an individual level, an individual infantryman was only effective out to 300 meters. Now I could hit a target out to 600 plus, right? And as a group, as a section firing, we were effective, I think, out to 600. But that's sort of area effect. You're just lobbing bullets in, and they're going to keep their heads down, and they're going to stay pinned, and they're not going to go anywhere while you're keeping them pinned. But now they reckon they can get individual infantrymen to be effective out to 900 meters with the combination of that scope and the new round. It's just phenomenal. Yeah, it's not the 6.5 Creedmoor, Simon. It's a different round that's been commissioned specifically, and it's the new NATO round. So I don't know the specs on it, but I believe it is more powerful than the Creedmoor, and it's designed to be ballistically better than a 7.76. On a 338, of course, yeah, you can reach out that far, but this is meant to be ballistically very, very good. Yeah, the smart bullets has gone away. That smart bullet philosophy has gone away. They're now focused on the reticle. They're focused on the optics and making sure that the actual infantryman is aiming in the right spot in the first place. So the bullet itself doesn't have to do anything. It's the reticle that has the information and makes the adjustments itself. Stuart, I'll have a look at the pics in just a sec. No, this is on standard infantry targets. I mean, I look in not perfect conditions. It could be windy and whatever. But if I was not being shot at in return, I could reliably hit a human torso target at 600 meters with a 5.56, no problem. But it's more about, in combat conditions, being able to actually have that same level of precision. That's an entirely different story. All right, I'm taking a risk here, guys. I'm going to look at the picture Stuart sent. Oh, good Lord. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I thought that was a different stick. For a second there, I just thought something else was glowing. So that's the FLIR camera looking at his cigar.
Be very good to pick up channeling.
There you go. Yeah. If your cigar is tunneling, you're going to know about it. That is kind of cool, but also quite useless. I mean, that's very niche. Very niche. Almost. He sent stick pics. Someone reckons the burn is speeding up a little into the middle
Maybe
third.
a tad.
Sorry?
Maybe a little bit.
It has.
Where are we at? We're at an hour 20. Yeah, this will be an hour 35. You know, for me anyway.
Oh.
You guys might be a fraction less. Hour 30.
No, I reckon we might get a little bit more than that out of it.
Maybe. I look forward to seeing it. Yeah, we can use the FLIR camera to find the gaps in the studio. Okay. Game on. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Tim. I wasn't going to say it, but, you know. Also, you should probably see a doctor. It looks like there's an infection at the tip. It's very, very hot up there.
Still sweet. Cinnamon. Coffee. Maybe a little bit of earthiness coming in there too. And a bit of soft leather on the finish.
Tim, I would express it a little bit differently. I wouldn't necessarily use those words in that sequence. That's a little ambiguous, but, you know, fundamentally, yes. I mean, what you're saying, yeah, that is basically what I said, but I wouldn't say it like that. Well, I'll tell you what, I really rated the last barberpole that we had, which was the riverboat. Mark Twain riverboat. Thank you.
Average.
You guys weren't so keen on it, if I recall correctly. It wasn't really, either of you, it wasn't really your jam.
Wasn't.
The average stick.
I rated it. I thought it was very, very good. And I can see parallels between that and this.
Yeah, they're both barber.
Well, they're both barber poles, but the flavor profile was this kind of complex, fairly full, rounded kind of flavor profile. That's how it came across to me. I really rated it. I thought it was great.
They had a lot of reviews I've heard. It was a very popular stick amongst women, middle-aged women.
I can imagine it being a very popular stick amongst golf players, right? You know, Robusto, Vitola, light it up, sit it there on the back of the golf cart, have your shot, go back to it, kind of a cigar. But I really did think it was a good flavor profile.
You like poles, don't you?
Listen, coming from a bloke who's just desperate to show up every week and have the world see him sucking on a stick, you know, I'm not sure that I'm really going to take that kind of crap from you.
Which you do often.
But I have no choice because he shows up for free, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the cost of a stick is what he shows up for. Mind you, Damo shows up for free too, and he does an awful lot of work every week. So, you know, maybe that's not the metric we should be using.
Nah, I wouldn't if I was you.
All right. See, Daniel's got a good set of taste buds, and he's backing me up. It's a good stick. You're both wrong.
Yeah, you're both wrong, definitely.
You know how you can detox your liver and that sort of stuff? I don't know if it actually works, but it's a thing. You detox your liver. Do you think it would be possible for Omar to detox his taste buds to the point that he can actually taste something ever again? Or is he just going to live the rest of his life never knowing what anything tastes like?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think he's just going to, he's just burnt them out. They're covered in smoke. Just tar. His tongue is made out of tar.
Oh, I think it's beyond covered. It's totally infused.
Yeah, that's right. See, I agree. May I say, that glue, I haven't had to think about it unraveling again since I applied that glue. Once it dried, 100% adhesion.
And it dries quick.
Yep, it dried fast. The cigar didn't even go out. Didn't even go out. So my trip up north in early March, which I had thought might have been an opportunity for me to come through Sydney, looks like I'm flying direct, unfortunately. So there goes that one. No live Cigar Professor Herf on that weekend. When are you guys going to come to Albury? We can do like a you, me, Daniel. When I say you, I mean both of you. Like you're only half a man each anyway, so you just qualify as just a single you, me, Daniel. I don't know, maybe Tim and Stuart can come up for that. Actually, no, they shouldn't, because then there'll be no one watching.
That's a serious problem, that one.
Whiskey Pete's wedding. You're absolutely right, Simon. 1st of April, Corowa. Be there or be square. Good, satisfying feeling from this cigar too. We talk about the cigars that just leave you feeling like you've had a cigar. This is one of those.
It's definitely a good cigar.
I don't know, Daniel, if we put your face on the show, I'm not sure that Simon will keep watching. Yeah. You're still talking about the cigar, yeah? I feel like Damo has a Tommy gun stashed away somewhere. I don't know. It's the right vibe. It's the right vibe for him. Daniel, you raise a good point. I mean, he's obviously got very low standards, so he might watch with you on here. All right, so who are our ghosts today? We've got some people watching that have not made a single comment all the way through. If you're one of those people, how about you jump into the comments and let us know who you are, where you're watching from. I've had lots of comments from a couple of people. Love it. Keep them coming. I'm not saying you should stop. But for those that are watching and you haven't commented yet, tell us who you are. Ooh, we have a guest from Simon. Erdostakis, quite possibly. No, it won't be David. He's still on his cruise around South America, so he won't be signing in. They look new. They might be. I don't know. I can't see who they are. I can just see that they exist. I can see by the number of people watching. We've got people watching that haven't commented, so feel free to introduce yourself or let us know that You're back again, either way. Okay. Getting sharper now. Yep, definite in the last two puffs, definite increase. Yes, Tim. Tim has sniffed out my my real motivation here. Jump on and comment, and then we can hang crap on you too. Yep, exactly. I'm looking for new easy targets. Richard is a absolute stalwart of the cigar scene. I haven't seen a comment from him, but he may very well have popped in. Stuart, you've never hindered me in your life, no matter how hard you try. And I know you do try. You know, you do your best, but you're not up to it. Sorry. I was about to say something useful for a change. I can't remember what it was now. Beautiful. That's right. The sharpness is kicked up. What am I getting? Is it a white pepper? It's not a clean white pepper. It's got white pepper characteristics, tip of the tongue, top lip, a clean sort of burn, but there's something else with it. What is that? It's not quite a paprika pepper. It's not a chili, but it's got bite.
It's almost paprika with a pinch of cayenne.
Cayenne pepper's more the vibe. That's more the vibe. White pepper and cayenne pepper that's more the vibe. It's nice. It makes a nice change. It's a beautiful, beautiful cigar, but it has been a little bit samey through that middle third. And I'm enjoying the fact that it's now changed on me.
It reminds you of like a hot salad dressing type of profile. It's very mild, but it's very creamy at the same time.
Yeah. Tim. Interesting, Simon. You've passed through that back into a cream. That's a good place to be. Steve Crow, if you're watching, welcome. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, David may not be watching the show, but I'm sure he'll be smoking some cigars. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's been putting up some pictures, mostly of wildlife and locations where he's going. Looks like an amazing trip. I'm quite jealous. But yes, he'll be back with us. I think it's another 3 or 4 weeks, and he'll be back with us. Maybe sooner.
Yeah, I think he said March, from memory.
Yeah, so another couple of weeks. Yeah. It's nice. That extra bite is nice. It's lending more character to what was there. There's a leather there. There's a creaminess. There is still a certain sweetness, although that is diminishing as I get down, towards the business end. I'm not really at the business end yet, but the sweetness is definitely diminishing. Leather is coming in much stronger. It was there from about the middle, but it's getting stronger. And there's just that overlaying. It's like a Nando's hot sauce. I'll take your word for it, Simon. That's probably something you've tasted a lot more than I have. Another cut. Having burnout issues. Are you getting tar? Are you getting like visible black tar on the mouth? Because mine's clean. Mine hasn't given me any such issues. Could just be that you're smoking it too slow. I mean, you do smoke your cigars incredibly slow, and it might just be that you're pushing it just that little bit too far. It's a good thing, by the way, but just a bit too far.
Maybe a few purges in there.
Yeah, no, he's saying, oh yeah, I think to the tar. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Is it cold where you are, Stuart? It shouldn't be that much colder than it is here. I've tended to find the tar comes with cold temperatures. If I'm smoking in a really cold temperature, I'm much more likely to get tar.
Daniel said on his trip up, he stopped at Yass and it was bloody freezing on the trip up.
Yeah. Well, it's been a tale of two countries recently. When we were cold, they had a heat wave up in the north, and then they've had bucketing rain up in the north, and we've had beautiful weather down here.
Well, I was right.
Mm.
About 6 months ago, I said if we don't have a nice string of high 30s, low 40s before Australia Day, we're going to have more wet weather.
Yep.
And lo and behold, we haven't had any of those temperature runs before Australia Day, and we've hit wet weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And I picked that out 6 months ago.
There's good reason to believe, even if La Nina does reverse and we head back to neutral or even to an El Nino, there are other factors at play that, in my opinion, are going to keep, particularly the southeast of Australia. I can't really speak for far north Queensland, but from Brisbane to Adelaide, if you drew a line and then everything southeast of that, I think we're going to remain cooler and wetter than what we're used to in our lifetimes, for probably for the rest of our lifetimes, to be honest. Next 20 to 30.
Where I live, we haven't had a day over 31.
Yeah, wow.
This summer.
Wow.
It's unheard of. Last year, we didn't have a day over 36, and so far it looks like we're going to make it through summer without a day over 31.
That's insane. Whereabouts are you, Simon? Because that's like that kind of variation. I mean, I'm a Melbourneite. We're used to very varied weather. It's one of the things I like about Melbourne is you get a couple of 40-degree days and then you get a break. It's not
Simon
like
is Adelaide, I think.
Adelaide, is it? Yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, Adelaide is confirmed. Yep. Yeah, interesting. Tim has found that cola seems to work as a good glue. Well, it's got the sugar, it's got the stickiness. You know, I can think of worse options. Up in the hills, about 600 meters above sea level. Yeah, that'd make that. It'd just add a few degrees to the tops and to the bottoms of your temperature range. Yes, indeed, Stuart. Well, we've been watching Albury weather quite closely. Excuse me, the last couple of months since we decided to move there, because we've heard that it's always hotter in summer and colder in winter. Well, so far, Albury temperatures have very closely matched Melbourne temperatures. The only real difference has been that they've actually had more rainfall than what we've had here in Melbourne.
Mm.
Simon. We've moved on from contrails through COVID now to Joe Biden shooting down aliens like a nursing home patient on LSD. Yep. Can't argue with that. When did that happen? I didn't give my approval for the continent to move north 2 centimeters. How dare it?
Right at the end, boys.
Yeah, you're right at the business end.
Yep, almost done.
I'm getting there. I've still got a little bit left. I mean, this is a half of a, what is it? The Perdomo 10th anniversary Puritos. You know, as far as those are concerned, I'm only halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been an unusually mild year in Albury, but I think that's going to be the trend. I'm not saying that every year is going to be the same, but I think what you remember from the 90s and the 2000s, we're not going to see that for a couple of decades at least.
I reckon when the next ice age comes in and all of a sudden crops start failing or below normal yields, they're going to want to start pumping greenhouse gases back in the atmosphere to warm the place back up again.
Well, historically speaking, what are we now? 420 parts per million, up from a low of, I think it was 280. I think it was the absolute bottom, but don't quote me on that. I might have that figure wrong. That's dangerously low. Historically, from tree rings and ice cores and other things like that, we know that atmospheric carbon dioxide has been as high as 2,000 parts per million in the past.
Yep.
Yeah, and sitting here
before we started burning fossil fuels too.
Yeah. Completely before we could have had any real influence on it. And sitting here saying, 420 parts per million, it's going to bring about the apocalypse. Really? Come on, guys.
I think I'm just about done with this.
Yeah.
Wow, you powered through that last bit quickly.
Yeah.
You get this burn
rush into the next cigar.
So Simon reckons flavor profile wise, it's not much more than a medium. For whatever reason, I don't see myself tasting this when I wake up tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's not a slap you in the face sort of a cigar. I mean, the barberpole is made up of Connecticut from Ecuador and Maduro from Nicaragua, if my memory serves me correctly. Then the filler is a mix of Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. But you're right, it's not an overpowering cigar at all.
Ooh. Wow. It's got a really nice spiciness to it. Hit then.
Yeah. I just actually hit a very distinct aniseed. First time it's really picked a flavor. It's been there or thereabouts, and it just came through as aniseed, real clear. With a bit of pepper. The pepper is still there.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to you, Damo. This is yet another brand I would have just ignored, but I'm so glad I've discovered it now, thanks to you. Magnificent. Just gotta do something here quickly. A little bit of nicotine, just a little bit. Oh, sorry, there must have been an internet drop out there. That's it. We'll smoke the bugs. Yeah. If we smoke all the tobacco beetles, we'll save the planet. 100%.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if they discovered that someone should do a fund of research? We should put that on to suggest this to big tobacco, that tobacco plants are the best plants for sequestering carbon.
Yeah, except that we release it all back in
the whole world should just be planted with tobacco everywhere.
Or at the very least, my backyard. Let's just start there.
Then they can mandate that everyone has to plant tobacco plants in their garden.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll get Whiskey Pete down. He can roll it for me. I've got no idea who's going to blend it.
I've got 3 cigars that have been rolled by Whiskey Pete from the outer wrappers off the leaf cigars.
Oh, wow. He actually went through and did it.
One for the 3 of us. Yep. They've been rolled into little perfectos.
Wow.
Tapered perfectos. Yep.
Well, I was thinking he was going to have to do like the Nymphomaniacs, but he's actually done a proper cigar. Interesting. Well, I look forward to when the day comes that we can finally do that.
And I've been aging them now for almost a year.
Dude, you don't muck around.
He said they would taste better if we age them so all the flavours and the tobacco mellow together.
Sure. Do you remember
sitting there for the right occasion for the three of us to get together and enjoy them?
So here's a question that I don't expect you'll necessarily know the answer to. That leaf that is around the outside of the leaf by Oscar, does that differ depending on which of the 4 leaf by Oscars you're getting?
Same leaf, exactly.
So it is the wrapper leaf, or it's the same leaf across all 4?
No, the wrapper leaf.
It is the wrapper leaf. Wow. Okay.
They're plain.
Okay.
It's the ones that didn't quite make the mustard for making the cigar.
They didn't have the appearance or unblemished or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Hence why, because they're about this long and we've made little perfectos out of them to get the right amount of good. There was a lot of wastage cutting them out to get the good bits, but
how did I not know about this until now? You've kept that under your hat. Literally. Keep it in your humidor so it stays properly looked after. And then once you have enough of it, you hand it to Whiskey Pete and he does magic.
The other cool thing too is not only do each of the sticks have a tobacco leaf wrapped on it, but the packs that they come in are wrapped with a couple of bundles of 20 and wrapped with a couple of leaves around the bundles of 20 as well.
Good. So good.
I know.
Haven't you got another stick, Omar?
I don't want to be rude. I'm just about to start soon.
Since when have you not wanted to be rude? Since when was that a concern of yours?
Just in case, every now and then you got to change it up.
He's probably got a half smoked stick sitting right there in front of him anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't want to pick it up because then we'll see it. Look, Damo, stop judging him. He's just seasoning the room in preparation for the Cigar Professor episode. Such is his commitment to the show.
That's it.
What, the show or the cigar? Daniel, I just not quite sure. Because I mean, now I can understand that statement, right? You don't want this to end, but this, not for sure, Take it off carefully at the wedding and hand it over to Whiskey Pete. Yep. Yeah. What is your backup, Omar? What have you got sitting just off shot, just to the side where we can't see it? Because I think it's been at least 5 minutes since he put that down, which is like, it's starting to get dangerous.
So this is almost a world record for Omar not smoking.
The nicotine levels in his blood are going to be dropping dangerously.
Dangerously.
Yeah.
Dangerously the lower level.
No one would have believed if it hadn't been live on the show.
Live on air with the clock ticking. Yeah. We need Omar, we need you to put a clock into your background so that we can just verify.
Stopwatch.
Yeah, exactly.
So what he does is he captures a little bit of footage, puts it on replay, like in the Speed movie? And then he quickly takes the puff and then clicks back to live again, So.
Correct. He's fooling us all. The man's an evil genius. Well, I don't know about genius, but evil.
Yeah. Well, let's stick to that.
Yeah, we can agree on that, surely. All right, I'm definitely in the business end now. You're in a similar state, Damo.
Still very smokable.
Great smoke production all the way through. Lots of rings. Zero burn.
We're at an hour 50.
We're solid hour 50. Zero burn issues. 3 of us had some challenges with the wrapper trying to unravel. All 3
Not
of us
me.
were able to solve it.
Not me.
Whatever. All 3 of us were able to solve it. It's just like, such a good cigar.
What have you got left, boys?
Oh, I don't have my notes in front of me. I should, because every single episode it comes up and I never have my notes in front of me.
So we got 3 cigars left.
Yeah.
We got
Excalibur
Placencia.
short next week. The one in the nice little tube.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Then Omar's favourite, Placencia Reserva Original. And then on Daniel's birthday,
Yes,
Perdomo ESV Prestigio Connecticut in a 6.5 by 54.
That is going to be such a
Same
good
length
stick.
as this stick. Same length as this, but in a 54.
That is a lot of stick.
That's a lot of stick.
And good vintage on it too, because the ones that I picked up would have been made pre-COVID.
Yeah, right. So, Simon, I need to warn you. I don't know exactly whether it's acrylic or glass, but I can tell you that if one of your kids gets a hold of it and drops it, it smashes like it's glass. Just don't ask me how I know.
Well,
Okay, getting
without
a
a
lot
doubt,
smaller
a
now.
stick I would definitely have again.
Oh,
It's a good stick.
it's a stick I would reach for in preference over a lot of other sticks. Definitely getting strong now. The aniseed is really, really quite powerful, along with some pepper, a little bit of leather. The sweetness is gone. The creaminess, yeah, gone. Leather, aniseed, pepper. That's where I'm at.
Still got a bit of cinnamon in there. I'm almost
reckon?
getting a little bit of a marmalade note there too.
There is a sour twist, isn't there? There's something there. Very much in the aftertaste. Once the aniseed dies away, yeah, you are. You're left with a marmalade of some sort, like a. It's not a sweet
What
marmalade.
a great
It's
range of flavours we've had.
yeah, out of one cigar. Yep, I know it's echoing, but I don't believe it's me.
It is you.
Well, hang on. Nothing's changed. It's still using my microphone here. Like it's my voice that's echoing, but it's coming back through one of your computers. It's coming out of your speakers and back into your mic.
Must be Omar's end because there's no smoke to absorb the sound.
I don't know. Whichever one of us is not echoing is the one who's causing the echo.
Demo.
Correct. Omar's echoing. I'm echoing. Damo, it's you. It's coming out of your computer.
Well, there you go. I'll move the microphone a little bit, see if that resolves the issue.
Well, I'm pretty much done. It's starting to get quite hot on the fingers. I'm not going to spike it. It's getting a bit harsh now. It's definitely turned. It's definitely past its best. So I'm going to say thank you very much. What an exceptional stick that was. Let's talk cigar of the pack, boys. Do we have a contender on our hands?
Ooh. That's a tough one. Well, we've still got some good sticks to go.
We do. Let me have a look.
Out of all the sticks that we've had so far, I'd probably be reaching for this one first, I'd say, so far.
Just going through the list.
Although the Sobremesa Short Torpedo is a favourite of mine.
The first 3-4 cigars that we had in this pack were probably my top 3-4 cigars. The Monte Cristo White, the Firecracker, the Nub Connecticut, Nub Sumatra, and Sobremesa. They are very, very good sticks.
Wow. I'm just scrolling through all the different sticks we've had. We had the Gurkha Chairman Select Perfecto, the White Series, the Firecracker, great stick. Nub 354 Connecticut, given the aromatics of Damo's Humidor, that was more complex than you'd usually expect. Nub Sumatra 460, Sobremesa Short Torpedo, Undercrown Shade Connecticut Corona Pequeña, the Crazy Alice, the Ave Maria Immaculata Bellicoso. I'm going to say that so far, this is my cigar of the pack. I think this is my pick.
Yep.
I mean, hour 55 burn time with those flavors, that's hard to say no.
Yep.
All right, we've got a
Have we
couple
had
of
any other sticks get into that burn time? I don't know if we've really had any sticks burn that long.
In the entire Cigar Professor, this might actually be our longest burn.
Yep.
We've had a show go over 2 hours before, but I think that was just sort of chin wagging afterwards. We've done a couple of shows where we've smoked 2 cigars and they've gone over 2 hours. But on a single cigar to get to nearly 2 hours, I think that's, or in your case, Damo, to get to 2 hours.
I think there are 2 cigars for that long. The Monte Cristo Espada was quite a big and long stick that lasted a very long time.
Didn't get to an hour and 40 though.
It was a quite long stick. I think it probably lasted a long time.
Even the Ignite, the 2019 Ignite by Southern Draw.
Yeah, well, that was a long stick too.
It was quick for its size.
Yeah, for its size, it burned quicker than you'd expect. Yeah. Daniel, this is one of the things that I really like about your Lancero and Lonsdale cigars is that you often do get a better burn time than you expect. You do really get a lot of cigar for your money, although they're usually more expensive because they're harder to make and they require the best of the wrapper tobacco, especially to be that large and to be unblemished. So they do tend to be expensive, but you get a lot of burn time out of them. Well, there you go. We have arguably, because there's a bit of disagreement in the comments here. We've got the Firecracker and the White Label for Simon. Excuse me. And Simon also voting for the Gurkha.
Yep.
No one else has really planted their flag in the ground and said what they rated, but arguably cigar of the pack. And for me, cigar of the pack so far.
Yep.
I'm with Simon. I probably agree with his.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, in any case, I think we can agree that it's a very, very good stick.
Oh, very good stick.
If we had an our humidor, we would reach for it again. I know I would reach for it over and over again.
100%. Should be silly not to reach for it. It's a very good stick.
Amazing. Well, Damo, it's yet another credit for your incredible work. So thank you and well done. And look, we will see you all again next week. We have 3 more cigars left before we move from the weekly format to a monthly format with the all Cuban, all Romeo and Juliet pack that Damo has put together for us. I should hopefully receive that pack shortly and take photographs and put it up online for you to see. You'll get emails. Keep an eye out for emails and invoices and all that usual sort of stuff. But guys,
and all the orders from the box sale were shipped on Monday. So everyone who's ordered from that sale should be receiving their cigars this week.
Wonderful.
If they haven't already got them.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you for another great show. Thank you for joining in with all the comments and having a good laugh with us. We will see you again next week.